We ended video 4 with Ivan's dilemma. He is going to die and he knows it. He is thinking about his life and he is filled with regret. The longer he lived, the more miserable he became. Neither his work, nor his wife, nor his recreations, nor his family, nor his public service had brought him joy, though these are the things that his society say brings him joy. I want to submit that Ivan's situation is much like our situation. We are told that our career or our recreations or our commitment to public justice in the administrative state will fulfill us. We are told less that marriage and family life will fulfill us these days, and that is a shame, but certainly unlovely and unloving marriages, as they are depicted in Tolstoy's book, are not going to satisfy human beings. Ivan's education is much like our education broadly understood. Ivan had been distracted by that reality, by the power of propriety. Are we similarly distracted and screened from this? If so, Tolstoy is seeking to shock us from our complacency with his treatment of Ivan. You are Ivan. You too will die. How will you face that? Ivan, we see, faces death with admirable clarity, overcoming his denial and contradictions. Ivan is caught between his feeling that he didn't live as he ought and his conviction that he did everything right in the eyes of his society. His happiness and his propriety are in conflict. It is almost unthinkable for Ivan that everything, all the pillars on which he built his life, were lies, deceptions, screens. Yet he thinks it. He entertains the idea. As death approaches, he resolves this tension, recognizing that what I am calling his conscience or his inner sense, that he has not lived as he ought to live, was actually the path to a good life. I think that the peasant Gerasim has something to do with this, and it has something to do with how Ivan reaches this conclusion. Gerasim is not a modern person. He shows Ivan sympathy, and he serves Ivan throughout the illness beyond the call of duty. Gerasim holds up Ivan's feet and relieves Ivan's pain. He sprinkles something, is it holy water? In chapter 1 at Ivan's wake. Gerasim sees Ivan's death as God's will and says so to the fake friend, Pyotr. Gerasim, a peasant, is closer to human realities than those citified folks like Ivan and his kin. He sees that the dying man needs comfort. He does not flee from death and its reality, but serves Ivan through that reality. Gerasim serves as a model of charity, Christian charity, it seems, for Ivan, and for everyone else throughout the story. Gerasim is the most redeeming character in the book, except, perhaps, for Ivan. Ivan struggles after looking at Gerasim's face. He asks himself, what if my entire life, my entire conscious life, simply was not the real thing? End. Then he tries to defend his life to himself, but he cannot come up with a good answer. Hear Ivan's thoughts in full. It occurred to him that those scarcely perceptible impulses of his to protest what people of high rank considered good, vague impulses which he had always suppressed, might have been precisely what mattered, and all the rest not been the real thing. His official duties, his manner of life, his family, the values adhered to by people in society and in his profession, all these might not have been the real thing. He tried to come up with a defense of these things, and suddenly became aware of the insubstantiality of them all, and there was nothing left to defend. But if that is the case, he asked himself, and I am taking leave of life with the awareness that I squandered all I was given and have no possibility of rectifying matters, what then? Ivan suffers. He is given opium, for perhaps losing oneself in drugs and stupor is the best way of distracting oneself from such suffering. Everyone thinks Ivan's suffering is physical, but it is psychic. His wife may be sensing this, and she calls for our priest. He hears Ivan's confession. This is Ivan's good confession, and the rest of his days, 3 in number, are marked by screaming and struggle in his soul. His youngest son comes up to him, and it is finally revealed to Ivan that his life has been a lie, and he sees that the real thing had been love, which we have on pretty high authority as the greatest of things. The love of a son for his father and the love of a father for his son, for instance. Death is over. There is no more death. These are Ivan's final words. Now, what is love? It is not what we call today humanity, a generalized fellow feeling. It is intense and personal. It is in the home, if you would think of it like that. It is particular, directed at this person or that person. It is Gerasim's love for Ivan. It is Ivan's love for his as yet uncorrupted youngest son. It is also a love mirrored in God's love for all human beings, for the world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. There is no more death. These are the thoughts with which Tolstoy ends the novel. It is, I would submit, a rather Christian ending. The modern world obscures God, but he is the real thing. So Tolstoy's point seems to be this. Much of our modern morality, our liberalism and modernity, is a screen for genuine human issues. People cannot escape living with rules of propriety or with ready-made opinions. The problem is with the content of those opinions in the modern world. They distract us from thinking about what makes human beings genuinely fulfilled, from what knowledge genuinely is, from what love genuinely is. We say that these matters are up to the individual. Hogwash. Almost all individuals take their opinions about love or happiness or knowledge from their society. The problem is that modern society answers these questions in an unhealthy way. Perhaps we would be happier were we peasants. We would certainly be happier if we were closer to reality, like peasants presumably are. Perhaps we would be happier and less distracted were we more in touch with these issues. I want to add one addendum to this summary. Ivan's marriage is a window to the society in which he lives. But marriage is and should be a window into the reality of human beings and the mysteries of our nature. It is because Ivan's marriage is such a modern marriage, a marriage based on conveniences, that it is the source of alienation and estrangement for him. Perhaps a genuinely loving marriage is the great human window to the miseries and joys of man, to the abysses into which we look. Marriage can teach about loving someone and all of the struggles and joys that that brings. Tolstoy's answer to the question of human meaning is, as I say, a Christian answer: love. Love and human responsibility are at home most in marriage and family life. This is not necessarily a romantic view. It is a view that emphasizes that human realities come to the fore in deep human relations. Ivan's society and our society make healthy marriages, make deep human relations difficult. But perhaps marriage is still the best window to reality in human life. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave some comments below.